Well, I found out what some of my problem is. The VMAX has 4 carburetors. They're CV carburetors, and they use vacuum to help move the slides. The front slides here were nice and loose and moved real easily. The back ones, though, were very sticky. I've got them moving better now, but you can see how slow they come back. So what that was doing was it wasn't opening until there was a ton of vacuum behind it to pull those open, which is why it worked at wide open throttle and not at partial throttle. So I'll take all the diaphragms off, clean up all the slides, and re-lube those, and it should be a lot more smooth. We'll go from there. Cool, man. Okay, here's a in case you don't know type of video. This is how vacuum operated carburetors work. CV, constant velocity, whatever you want to call it. Basically, you have the slide here, and this is your needle. Your needle goes down into your main jet and blocks it off. As you open the throttle, vacuum's applied to the back side of the slide here, and a chamber created from the cover and the carburetor. The more vacuum, the more pressure or lack of pressure pulls the slide up. As the slide comes up, this needle comes out of your main jet and more fuel gets to go into your motor. When you release the throttle, there's no vacuum there, but the spring is needed to help push the seal back onto the main jet. So here's the carburetor with the diaphragm and slide removed. That brass thing all the way at the end is the main jet, or the channel to the main jet. This bowl is where the diaphragm sets, as you see over here. The combination of this cover, which is set on here, creates a vacuum chamber. And as the vacuum increases, the slide comes out. And this is just a seal, right? It's a very flexible seal so that the force is pushed on here, but you don't lose vacuum around the edges there. And that's how it works. And then at the end, Mr. Spring pushes it back in. If you have any kind of obstruction or you have too much lube on the slide, it can cause it to work slowly. And most importantly, if you have a cut or a tear or a hole in your diaphragm, you're screwed. So the two major issues in CV carburetors are a hole somewhere in your diaphragm, or a rip or a tear. So I'm going to inspect it for that. The other one is people lube the slide with too heavy a lube. It works fine in the summer, but when it's cold, the lubricant like thickens up and it causes sluggish performance. Or you could got a piece of dirt in there and scratched up the bore, and that can cause it not to open and close the way it should. So I'm just going to inspect this thing out, and what I like to put on it is WD-40. It's a super light lubricant, and it's pretty much the same in winter as summer, so you don't have the problems you do. Some people put Vaseline or motor oil, and it's not the way to do it. So some guys, it's common if they don't like how when they let off the throttle how fast the carbs close down, they'll take this spring and they'll stretch it, because then it has a little bit more force and pushes the slides closed faster. Problem with that is it also has more force when you want to open it, and it will slow down the slides from opening and can give you sluggish performance. So don't fuck with that spring, just replace it. So this is one of the slides that was sticking on me. In fact, it's the one that was sticking the worst, and you'll see there's some scuffing on the slide itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and hit that with some real light emery cloth, try and clean that up and make the scratches go circumferentially instead of radially, and check out the bore, and hopefully there's some scuffing on the bore, so I'll do the same thing with some emery cloth in there. Hopefully that'll smooth it up, and that slide will stop sticking, and the bike will stop trying to fall on its face when I give it gas. Groovy, yeah. Yay. So this diaphragm also has some rips that somebody has tried to fix at some point in time, and it may or may not work. I'm sure some sort of glue could fix that, but I'm an old man with the bucks, so I'm going to buy a new one. And they're not cheap. They're like $109 each, so I can understand why somebody might have tried to glue it. Sorry! Poor neighbors.